Hello everybody and welcome to this video where I will go through the improvements that we're doing to our master guide and the master experience on patreon.com/golfclashtommy from the first 18-hole tournament in June. Scan the QR code here on the screen or you use the link patreon.com/golfclashtommy that is in the description down below, where you can get, or you go then to all our packages and you can then see for yourself that we do have something for each and every one. So either you bundle together with Tour Play or Checkpoint Challenge, 9-hole cups, or you're looking for the standalone 18-hole tournament package for Master Division. In this video, you will see me going through some example slides from our new guide format that we are launching, together with other improvements with the first tournament here in June. But before we go through and talk a little bit about clubs and what ball type you can use with our guide, and also then look at some example slides, I'm going to talk about the team. We are a big team and have always been, but now we are even bigger than before. We are the team that is providing the guide the quickest in the community. We do work with three type of, like, I would say 3 words kind of cements on how we are focusing on creating shots, and that is consistency, quality, and speed. And we do believe that focusing on those 3 words is allowing us to create what was considered in a recent big poll in the community, that we do have the best master guide and the master experience there is out there. So when it comes to the quality, it's always important to have a good quality with your shot, because I mean, it doesn't matter how quick the shot is out there and how consistent it is if it's still going to miss. Obviously, in Master Division, it is not easy to get drops, especially on the harder type of tournaments, but the quality is super important, that you feel that you do have a chance on every single hole that you're playing, regardless if you're playing with a free-to-play ball or you're playing with a paid ball. Consistency. Consistency has become, I mean, close to everything when it comes to Master. This, as we are working so much on having consistent drives, that then in the end leaves a consistent second shot. Before, we just not we, but in general, we just blasted it down there, try to get as close to the green as possible. But with new different balls out there, you allow yourself to be thinking a little bit outside the box. It's like, okay, we need a consistent drive, and that leaves a consistent second shot. And that's what we're working with a lot. Also looking for those simplicity things in terms of, you know, full spins. If we're using curl, we are trying to not use some half-ass type of curl, trying to use max or something you can relate to when it comes to the ring where you center the ball. Also allowing for those players that do not have you know, specific grid lines, that we're using the circle drop overpower as a reference for curl. Small things like that, which will allow every player that are using our shots to be consistent in their drive distance, but then also when they are attacking for the second shot and the drop. Speed. This is something that obviously is important for us, and will be even more important because it is time consuming to play Golf Clash. We now have the 18-hole tournament guide out on an opening round approximately 15 hours after the round has started. Obviously, we do have the live document, that so people can follow along as we create shots, but the hole number 18 is usually done around 15 hours after the round has started. But we are looking to shave down that with several hours now as well. And for those of you that do have multiply guides, understands how important, or multiply accounts, not multiply guides, but multiply accounts, understands how important that is. So you can get some stuff done already on a Thursday, so you don't have to wait around 24 hours to get a guide. We do not feel that is what you're paying for. So we are doing our best to speed up the process, and we can do that by being more people. But we would never focus on the speed before the quality and the consistency. Everything needs to be tied together, and that is what we believe that we are doing. And that's also the reason why we have around 1,200 unique master players, not accounts, players, that are accessing our guide for every 18-hole tournament. When it comes to the free-to-play part, which is an important thing when it comes to our Master Division, we are going to be even more heavy towards free-to-play and create more options when it comes to that. And I'm speaking mainly towards the 9-hole cup, because we're already catering to a lot of free-to-play when it comes to the 18-hole tournaments, and you can now play more or less every single hole in our 18-hole tournament guide free-to-play. But with the addition of Brandon Burke, that will be part of our expert and now also the master team, we will be creating more free-to-play ball options in the 9-hole cup, which has been a request from our users, so you don't have to spend a bunch of paid balls if you don't want to, especially in the qualifying round. I know there is a lot of players that are not really interested in playing with paid balls, so we are happy to announce that as well, that will be more free-to-play ball options when it comes to our Master Division. So again, quality, consistency, speed, that's what we're looking for, and that's why we are the #1 guide and master guide experience here in Golf Clash. So make sure to sign up, scan the QR code, or use the link patreon.com/golfclashtommy to get your package. Now it's time to take a look at what clubs we're catering to and talk a little bit about that, combined with what type of balls we're using too. Alright, when it comes to clubs and also balls in Master Division, it's very easy to just look at us and see, okay, they do make Master Division guides and they're only focusing on Apocalypse level 7 or better, but we do not. We are catering to Apocalypse level 5+ as our main driver. This is because Apoc 5 and higher has 240 yards of power, which obviously simplifies in terms of always being able to start at the same position. Besides that, it has obviously different accuracy. Then we have tables that will explain, as you have already seen, that you seen in the example guides, or will see in the example guides, and that you can see there that we are separating based off the accuracy and what type of position you're going to start with. Now, obviously, we understand that the topspin is different on Apoc 5 than what it is on Apocalypse level 8, but we have worked with this for so long that we are making sure to create situations where we're using push-ups or extra overpower to compensate if we're using more topspin than what the Apocalypse level 5 has. That's the same with Apocalypse level 6, which happens sometimes. Many times, though, there are situations where we are using less topspin than what Apoc 5 has, and then we can use any driver and don't really have to do any extra tweaks. Of course, we're using the quarterback and we're using the rock when it's possible, because both of them is clubs that players generally has in the highest level when you're playing in Master, but it also then have a really good ball guideline, and it has the 100 in accuracy on the highest levels, which is something that is really welcomed, especially on par 3s, because in Master would you play on par 3s with drivers many times. When it comes to wood clubs, we're using Sniper level 10. Here we're focusing on Sniper 10 only. If you're playing Master, at least using our guides, it is Sniper 10. If you do have Sniper 9, that's what we're catering to in Expert. Cataclysm level 5+ is what we're using when it comes to longer wood club shots, when we're using another club than the Sniper, for an example. We're obviously playing with a Cat 8 will be an advantage over Cat 5, but there will always be instructions on how to play with Cat 5 and 6 and not just Cat 7 and 8. There will be times where we're using the Guardian as well. Very few times we're using the Hammerhead or Viper, Big Dog or Horizon. But Guardian, if here we are catering to Guardian level 9, the highest level of the Guardian, highest level of the Sniper, then Cat 5+. Long Irons is the B52, level 5+. However, though, those times where we are using the ball guideline on, for an example, a bounce-up shot with the B52, where B52 7 and 8 has a better ball guideline than the level 5 and 6, we are then giving instructions for Grizzly level 9, and this to utilize the ball guideline here that we have on Grizzly. Sure, there is 6 yards less power compared to the B52, but there will always be instructions on how you can calculate the adjustment for Grizzly in a very easy way, so you can always be able to play a similar type of play and don't have to just estimate the bounces, which otherwise have to do with the B52 5 or 6. However, when it's a rough bump, you will always have a ball guideline, then it's the B52 level 5 and level 6, sorry, level 5 plus that we're focusing on alone. Very few times we are using any other type of long iron. Short irons, it's actually a mix between the Thorn and the Falcon. And the reasoning for that is that Thorn is probably the most universal club when it comes to short irons that people are having in the highest level. And also is comfortable from the start. With all its backspin, it's very helpful in that sense too. When it comes to Falcon, Falcon is the best short iron, and it has the best ball guideline in the highest level, and has the best accuracy as well. Or like not the best, but it has the max accuracy as well. So Falcon level 7 plus is what we're focusing on together with Thorn 9. You will see many times in our guide, which you won't see in other places, is that we are testing the shots for Falcon and for Thorn. We're not just guessing, we're testing to make sure that you as a Falcon user or you as a Thorn user can have the same amount of chance with a perfect on the same type of hole. When it comes to wedges and rough irons and sandwich, we're not really gonna go into that because that is the same everywhere. When it comes to the balls, in Master we're using paid balls, but we're also using free-to-play. We have a dedicated free-to-play team with world-class players that are creating free-to-play ball options. Already talked about this in this video, but I can't say it enough. If you want to play free-to-play, you shall be with us, because you can play any hole that we do have in the guide as free-to-play. That's just not on 18-hole tournaments, that's also 9-hole cups now as well, where you can then get yourself a cheap way getting into the weekend round, and there you can, if you want to spend some special balls and stuff like that, because of course we need to be realistic. There will be times where a special ball have a massive advantage over a free-to-play ball, but that doesn't mean that a free-to-play ball is going to get you in trouble. Quite the opposite fact, actually, that you still have a chance. It's just that it's going to be a little bit harder to drop. So play whatever you like, free-to-play or paid ball. And free-to-play means that it's a ball that you can obtain in the game without having to pay for it. So let's take a look at some example guides for Master with our new format. Now, let's have a look at Master Division and some examples of slides. But first, before we go there, we're going to take a look at the team. And you do have the shot creating team, we do have the slide creating team and customer service team. You can see that we are a lot of people included, and that's purely to make sure that we cover all the angles possible. All from the free-to-play to paid balls to, you know, extra options to... when it comes to like when we have ascend it, instead of just leaving it as just ascend it, we're having a backup as a layup and vice versa and stuff like that. So all to cater to, the goal is obviously to cater to everyone that is playing in Master Division, of course. But when it comes to the new format, we're gonna scroll down past the expert part here, and we're gonna have a look at the first slide here, and you can see that we are changing the format, and we're also removing some things, and we're also adding a few things, or like, you know, changing some things, or whatever we would like to call it. But when it comes to the biggest changes, we are going from a top to bottom view perspective to a left to right view perspective. And you can see we have a drive on the left hand side, and we do have the second shot on the right hand side of the page. It allows for more flexibility for us when it comes to that dotted center line that we do have to move a bit more left when there are not much content for the drive, to allow for displaying the second shot better and vice versa. The stuff we have otherwise removed is that we have removed the aerial picture on the par 4s and the par 5s. We do not believe that it's necessary at all to have that aerial picture. It's just taking a lot of space. When it comes to other things we have removed the pictures of balls displayed, and the reasoning for that has to do with that there is so many players that being so controlled by the pictures that we feel like people are somewhat neglecting other ball types they have in their inventory just due to the pictures that when we do display. Like for an example, if we display a play where we can play with, like you said, P3 plus, side spin 2 plus, win 5, then it's very easy if we're adding a Sydney ball that people is only thinking, okay, Sydney ball is just one out of 3 balls that I can use here. So we wanted to remove that to allow for players to check their inventory and actually maybe finding a ball that they didn't even know they had, to use that ball instead. We do have remove the text that is displaying if it is like a southeast wind or south wind or whatever. We do think that the wind arrow is enough in that sense. When it comes to changes, otherwise, obviously the bigger changes have already gone through, but just to talk through the slide, we do have the pictures on the top left for the drive and top left for the second shot as well. We do have the main text on the right side of the pictures. And then we do have some info boxes if needed and push-up table if needed, you know, standard things if that is needed. But the things that is going to be there all the time is obviously spin pictures. But you can see that we have removed the spin box and changed that to be just zoom in pictures of the spins. We believe that it obviously increases the zoom in on it so you can see it properly, and especially when it's half spins, that's going to be really good compared to just having a spin box attached where it's very hard to see the details of that. When it comes to the shot structure box on the second shot, we do have a table now instead of the box that we had before, to be a little bit more easier to follow, and it's always going to be underneath the second shot picture. We do have the wind angle, but the biggest thing with that is that we are adding throughout all the shots that do have a wind angle picture. That is something called wind angle focus, which is to allow for the shot creator to write what the shot creator is actually focusing on when deciding what type of wind zone they have. And you can see here that edge of the far fairway is it here. And that's the focus point for the shot creator. Obviously, you can use whatever focus point you like, but at least giving some type of hint on what we are using is valuable for a lot of players. The tables is always going to be on the bottom right side, and here as well. Now, as we do have the maxed club guide as well in Master, which is catering only to maxed clubs, we decided to always have the table on the bottom right, and then it's a very smooth and easy transition from a normal slide to a maxed club guide slide, which also then allow us for be quicker into adding it into a maxed club guide for an example. You can see that there is 2 type of reference pictures there, and the reason that is not because we're going to have to. It's just that if it is a normal slide like this that is not a max club guide slide, then we're having the picture on top of the table. If it is a max club guide slide, then we're having it at the bottom left instead. This to allow for both of the tables and not make the top right be too crowded. So here you can see as well the max club guide slide for an example, and you can see that there is very few changes when it comes to how the slides are looking. You can also see that we have highlighted adjust, which has a green background. It did not have that before, but we're highlighting that as it is an important part of the shot itself. So there we do have a par 4 or par 5 for that matter, or like a 2-shot slide, we can call it that instead. Here we do have a quick glance on Ascend It, kind of Ascend It. Or let's phrase it like this, where we have a situation where we do want to allow for more content on the drive than what is actually necessary on the second shot. So you can see that the push-up table is the thing that takes a lot of space, and we allow them for a bigger picture on the drive, especially when we are trying then to have the wind angles as well on the slide when it comes to the drive when it is an NMT like this, for example. Then second shot still has all the content, but it's a little bit more pushed together as it is less content on the second shot in this example, as we do not have a table. We're gonna move, that's a max club, we're gonna look at that. We're gonna look at this one. The par 3 is definitely, in my opinion, what has been going through the most changes. not just obviously the left to right view now, but also the fact when we do have an aerial picture here. And the reason we have that is that we do believe that an aerial picture is important on a par 3 to help understand where to aim, especially. And then we do have a more zoomed in picture now, like we do have on the tour play guides. And we're having an X instead of lines on the picture. We do believe that's going to be better. Shot structure box, obviously. Then we have a much bigger wind angle picture. That is something that people have giving us feedback on, and something that we have listened to. So the wind angle picture is, if not exactly the same size as the landing position picture, but very close towards that, allow for a much better view and a much easier decision when you're playing live. We have separated the VPR and the red, yellow, and blue colors that describe what type of tweak to do, and that might be a little adaptation time for some, but we do believe it's easier to follow having a box on top of the wind angle picture instead of having that attached. It also aligns with what we are doing on the par 4s and the par 5s to keep it then consistent amongst everything, and also amongst the two divisions that we do have. So once again, here you have bigger pictures, but we're keeping the structure the same when it comes to the top bar and stuff like that. So there you do have all the changes that we are doing when it comes to the formats. Obviously, that could be something that I missed going through that you might have questions for, and then please make sure to do so. Oh yeah, just because of that, we do have the, if I did not say that earlier, we do have those here. You can see my cursor here going through. It's a play button now instead of the Google Drive logo, because it has been players thinking that it was kind of confusing, not understanding what that logo was. Then they don't understand that it's a video attached there. So the play button is there to actually make people have an easy time to understand that we do have a video attached to that specific shot. So there you have everything. Make sure to come with feedback if you have any. We are super excited about these changes, and as always, we're doing this to make it easier for you as a user to be able to follow our shots, because nowadays we do have a lot more data on the slide than what we have had before, and now we believed it was time to make a change to display it slightly different to allow for us having, with a new format, a bit more flexibility and a bit more room to add those type of things. So again, feedback if you have anything, and if you have any questions like overall with the additions and the changes we're doing in the master team, then you can always email support@golfclashtommy.com. So there you do have it, ladies and gentlemen, all the massive improvements we're doing to our Master Division guide, taking another step in helping players around the world in becoming competitive in Master Division. As you can see, we have something for everyone. It doesn't matter if your goal is to get to the weekend round or your goal is to win gold. You will benefit from having our full experience when it comes to Master Division. So make sure to sign up. Use the QR code on that side, or you use the link in the description down below. If you do have any questions when it comes to anything you have seen here in this video, or you just want to ask about something else, you can email support@golfclashtommy.com. And have in mind that if you're not interested in tournament guides specifically, we have something for everyone with checkpoint challenge guides and tour guides as well. Thank you once again for watching, and I wish you the best of luck in your Golf Clash game.